The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets is a collection of photo tutorials for beginners that will take you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It is now available for purchase worldwide anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. Hello, my name is Masha, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful friendship bracelet. This bracelet isn't difficult to make, but this part of it can be a little bit confusing for beginners. There's a lot of different knots and you need to alternate them, and if you're not too familiar with the process, you can get a little lost. So I'd recommend this tutorial for people who are at least a little bit more confident with bracelet making. That said, I definitely wouldn't class this bracelet as difficult, so if you've made a few bracelets before, you might be up for the challenge. There are 16 strings in total in this bracelet, 8 per color. I started my bracelet with a triangle end, I finished it with one as well. If you're going to be doing a different kind of start, maybe one that involves a loop, you would halve the number of strings and double their length. My strings are about 1 meter in length, but if you're going to be doing a loop, you would do 4 strings per color, 2 meters in length. That said, let's get into it. I'm starting this bracelet with a triangle end. To save time, there is a separate tutorial on this which will be linked in the card and in the description. All you need to know is the string order, and that's very easy. On each of the sides, you first bring out 4 strings of one color and then 4 strings of the other. I have also flipped my triangle ends. The knots are actually on the back side here. I do this occasionally in some bracelets whenever I want to hide the knots on the other side. So if you have never done that before, maybe try it with this one. It creates a different look of your bracelets. Don't forget to also leave 10 to 15 centimeters of string. You'll need that to make ties out of later. Mine are just off frame. There's a lot of symmetry in this pattern. We start by focusing on the strings in the middle. All of the strings of the same color. They all need to make knots on each other. Looking at the pattern, that's represented as the diamond in the middle. You can do this in many different ways because all of these strings are the same color. It doesn't really matter what knots you make. You can make 4 rows of forward knots with each of the 4 strings on the left. You can make 4 rows of backward knots with each of the 4 strings on the right. You can make a reverse chevron shape or a chevron shape, whichever you feel you want to do. To keep things simple, I'm going to make 4 rows of 4 forward knots. When you're first starting the bracelet, you'll have 2 unconnected halves of the triangle end, and the first knot that you make here is going to be the most important in keeping it together. I also occasionally use my fingers to just make sure that the bracelet is in the shape that I want it to, especially in the beginning when the triangle ends are just connecting. Now we're going to be making the checkered part on each side. These are going to be the same except symmetrical. I'll explain both. Starting with the one on the left. An easy way to remember is whichever color we made the solid diamond with is going to be the first color in the checkered pattern. So we just made a solid diamond of dark purple. So dark purple is going to be the first string that we make the checkered pattern with here. We need to focus on the 2 strings in the center of this checkered part. These will be 2 strings of different colors, dark purple and light purple for me. Since we're making a knot of the dark purple string's color, in this case it has to be a backward knot. So we make 1 backward knot here. Now the 2 strings have swapped places. We grab the next dark purple string on the right and the next light purple string on the left. We now have 2 pairs of strings to work with. Since we just did a knot of dark purple, this time we're going to be making 2 knots of light purple. So on both of these pairs, we will be making a forward knot with the light purple strings. Again, the strings have traded places. We're going to grab 1 more dark purple string from the right and 1 more light purple string from the left. We now have 3 pairs of strings to work with. We just did a row of light purple knots. Now we're making dark purple knots. So these will be backward knots. A backward knot here, here, and here. We now grab the remaining strings on the left side. That'll be 1 more dark purple string and 1 more light purple string. And we now have 4 pairs of string. Since we just did a row of backward knots with the dark purple string, this time we're working with the light purple string. So it'll be 4 forward knots in each of these pairs. If you're familiar with the different knotting techniques, we are effectively going row by row for this section of the pattern. There are, again, other ways to do this. As I explained with the solid color diamond, we could have gone in a chevron shape or in rows like I did, essentially. You can do the same here. You can, decide to select a row of 4, for example, and go backward, forward for the first bit. And then for the next bit, go forward, backward, etc. But this is just the way that I am explaining. So in this part, we're going to do a forward knot for each of the pairs. That was the widest part of the diamond, so now we're going to be closing it in. Instead of bringing in more strings, which we don't have any left of anyway, we're going to be taking strings out. So the outermost string within this section is this light purple here. We'll put it off to the side. Same for the dark purple. We're going to put that off to the side. Separate the remaining strings into pairs. We are left with 3 pairs. And as we just did light purple, we are working with dark purple for this row, so it'll be 3 backward knots. Again, we get rid of one of the strings from each side. We are left with 2 pairs. And now we're working with the light purple, so it's just going to be 2 forward knots. And if a string pops out like it just did for me, that knot is entirely supposed to be dark purple, but this light purple string poked out. I'm going to put one finger on the bracelet and then just tug on this string until it pops back in. And then I'm going to finish making this knot. One thing I can do to prevent that from happening is as I am tightening this knot, I can kind of pull on that string so it doesn't pop in. And I'm left with 2 strings in the middle, which are going to do a backward knot because it's the dark purple time. And now all of our colors are separated again, except they've flipped. The dark purple is now on the left, the light purple is now in the middle. And that really is the core of the pattern. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, except with opposite knots. I'm going to go a little quicker this time. We start in the middle of this section again, where the 2 colors meet. As I said before, an easy way to identify which color we're going to be working with first is by looking at the solid color that we did before. The solid color is dark purple, so the first knot is going to be dark purple as well. We're going to make 1 forward knot with the dark purple, then we're going to bring in 2 more strings, 1 from either side, and we're going to make 2 backward knots with the light purple. Then we're going to bring in 2 more strings. We're going to make 3 forward knots because we're going to have 3 pairs at that point. That is going to be a dark purple row. Next, we bring in the remaining 2 strings from the sides. We're going to do 4 backward knots with the light purple on the 4 pairs. At that point, we've reached the widest point of the diamond. We start putting strings away. So the 2 outermost strings are going to go off to the sides. We're going to make 3 forward knots, this time with the dark purple. Put 2 more strings away, 2 backward knots with the light purple. Put 2 more strings away. We're going to be left with 1 pair, and we're going to do 1 forward knot. So the exact same thing we did on the left, but in opposite knots. I'm going to speed through this. Alright, we only have 1 more symmetrical step to complete until the pattern repeats. I do want to pause here and say that if you are finishing this bracelet, then doing so around here is probably the best point. You would only need to do the diamond in the center, which is the first step that I explained, and then your bracelet will be in a perfect chevron shape for you to finish in a triangle end. So if you are rewatching this bracelet and you're ready to finish, this would be the point to do it once you've completed the diamond in the center. But if you are repeating the pattern, you might also wish to do that. You can do the diamond in the center at this point just to kind of keep the bracelet a little bit more balanced, but I will explain the side pieces to you as that is part of the repeating pattern, as the diamond has already been explained. The sides are actually quite similar to the diamond in the sense that you really just need to make knots in between all of the strings of the same color, so it doesn't really matter how you make them. I would argue that here there is a better way to do it, whereas in the center it doesn't matter that much. When you have strings on the sides, it's best to keep them pointing into the bracelet rather than out. It helps keep the bracelet a little bit more balanced, it helps keep the edges more neat. So I would recommend on the left side you do rows of forward knots to kind of point the strings in, and on the right side you do rows of backward knots for the same reason. So to do that we have 4 strings on the left side. The outermost string is going to do 3 forward knots, 1 on each of these strings. Then this one becomes the outermost string, it'll do 2 forward knots. Once that is done, you'll only have 1 knot remaining and you'll do that as well. So 3, 2, 1 forward knots with the outermost strings, one by one. And we do the same thing on the right side, except with opposite knots, as it is symmetrical. So again, there's 4 strings. So the first string does 3 backward knots, then the next one does 2, and the final one does 1 backward knot. And that's it. That's the entirety of the repeating pattern. The colors have changed. The light purple is now in the center for me, but the pattern and the steps stay the same. You'll start with a diamond in the center, and then you'll make the diamond on the left with the checkered part, the diamond on the right with the checkered part, and the 2 separators of the same color as well. As I said, just remember for the checkered part, the first knot on each side is going to match the color of the diamond in the center. You can rewind this tutorial. There are timestamps in the description to make that easier for you to do. Once you are ready to finish your bracelet, you can do so with a triangle end at the point that I described. If you flipped your triangle end at the beginning, as I did, then don't forget to flip your bracelet to do the triangle end at the end. That way to keep it consistent. I'm gonna go finish this bracelet off camera and I'll talk to you once I'm done. And this is how the bracelet turned out. I really do love this pattern. It is definitely such a classic. I've made so many of these over the years. And you can make an entire collection of these to match all sorts of different outfits with different colors. If you make a bracelet based on this tutorial, then please share it with me. I love to see your bracelets whenever you send them through. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is now out anywhere you typically buy books. It's a photo tutorial book for beginners, but it takes you all the way to the more advanced stuff as well. There is also a direct link in the description if you want to just use that. I also want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. It is with their support that I continue to create tutorials on this channel. And if you also want to support the work that I do here, the link to my Patreon is in the description. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it inspired you to create a bracelet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!